Hello, welcome to my void. I suppose I shouldn't probably say it like that. Oh well. Yes, it's our void. How
Sorry about your holograms.
is it
Here comes
going?
my ass.
Nin, thank you for 67 months. Uh, I've been immersing myself lately in the topic of robber barons, and it has taken me down some funny paths. For instance, it led me to that ghoul, Ayn Rand. I was just looking at her Wikipedia page, and she died one day before my birthday. So it's kind of like I did it. Robert's Baron. Yeah, I did it. Me. Yeah, I'm her reincarnation. What a ghoul. What a horrific ghoul. It also led me to Martin Friedman, another known ghoul. Where they overlap with robber barons, you could probably guess at, which is basically to launder history and say they were great actually. The comments on those videos were something else. We can have book enjoyers. Yeah, you know, there's really just it's just this wild ideology of selfishness. All the selfish people kind of get together and they form these sort of individualism cults. And won't acknowledge the benefits of anything that like they contribute to something that benefits other people other than just themselves, unless it's billionaire charity, then that's great. But it's not great because it helps people, it's just great because they can say it when they're defending the robber barons. That's it. They don't talk about it doing anything for anybody. They just say that it is great and therefore they are great. The end. They also talk about them like they single handedly did the things like made the railroads, but they didn't make the railroads. They were just the most successful exploiters of their era. The seat of his brow. Yeah, the bottom part of the brow right there. We call it the seat. Are you not entitled to it? Yeah. I haven't turned away from the news. I've just turned to the past because I feel like we are going through an exact, well, maybe not exact, but we are absolutely doing the robber baron thing over again. We have been. That aspect of it is not new, but the culmination of it, it's almost like right on time. Except for the 20s aren't that roaring this time around. But it is interesting. It is interesting to go back and look at and see where the parallels are and where they aren't. For instance, this time around, when it comes to worker action, worker solidarity, unions, and things like that, much less of that. But they did spend 100 years after that initial uprising making sure to stomp that out of the collective consciousness. So it's really hard to get people to even understand what the benefit of any of that stuff was or why anybody ever did it. They were very successful. Yeah, technofeudalism, much less roaring. We didn't really get to a roaring. We're actually it's more of a like a nosedive, really. Although we'll see how things go. But I have to say I don't see how we aren't headed for like a total collapse. It's just wild how there are so many like these fucking weirdo ghouls have so many followers. But I think there just are a lot of people out there who are ghouls. They are just very selfish people to the degree that they don't understand even the logic of like you know, contributing together is how we have anything. If it was really everybody for themselves and absolutely no anything, we wouldn't have most shit. you know, I think there are definitely plenty of them that actually want that. They want to go back to like log cabins and no roads and no hospitals and no anything that you have in a modern period. But that's fucking stupid. It's fucking dumb. Well, no, I think there's a lot of selfish people that just like the rest of us, didn't luck into being born into wealth or born into status that leads easily to wealth. They're the same as they're the same as the other ghouls, but they are on the same class level as the rest of us. Know what I mean? For myself, I've concluded that there isn't really any escape, just for me. Hold on a second. I think there's some shenanigans occurring. Well, I think there were, but I didn't catch whatever it was. Huh? Why? No one told you to shut up. People shouldn't need to donate anything. And to be honest, wealth isn't even that big of a problem. It is the the unchecked, unabated accrual of it. Yeah, the exploitation bit, exactly. There's just a certain sort of inevitability that unless it's capped on both ends, you're going to have problems on both ends. Hold on a second. What are you doing? Pico has decided that now's the time for a protest about what I don't know. Um, there's just no need for anybody to be a billionaire. Sometimes it seems to me like the problem is that people just have people, meaning like humans, like human brains, I think are just not any good at dealing with numbers. That seems to be the source of many, many, many problems, among many other things, of course. But there's a common sort of issue with like when number too big. Like I often think of it as analogous to why people can't grasp evolution. You know, the problem with it is you can't contain it in your head, right? Just if you think about evolution, it is easy to like try to think about it while you're like looking at some animal and you're just like, but how did it know that it needed to do that? You know, whatever the thing is, like moths that have like really long tongues or whatever. Like, how did it know to do the tongue so that they could get bugs out of holes in trees? Well, it didn't know, but it takes hundreds of millions of years. Those are the ones that are left. It wasn't like it designed itself for that purpose. It just so happened that those are the ones who survived because it was advantageous to have a long tongue. The long tongue was just a very, 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 very long term procedural thing that happened. It didn't have any intentionality to it. But that very, very large span of time is not something that you can conceptually, have in RAM. Basically, like you can't bring that to a real understanding easily because by default we think in terms of real time because that's the way that we experience reality. So if you apply your normal experience to something like evolution, you just are going to struggle to understand it. And I feel like it's similar with other big number problems, you know? People don't realize how fucking far the gap is between a millionaire and a billionaire, or even 100 millionaire and a billionaire. You know, it's night and fucking day. And they get fucking worked up about tiny amounts. You know, I don't want my tax dollars. Man, it's nothing to you. It is almost nothing to you. But I agree, it should be less. It should be less. And you know how it could be less? A progressive tax. To fucking make the people who have the most money pay. We have finite resources. Make them pay. We don't have infinite resources. We don't have infinite jobs. We don't have infinite money. So the more wealth that they suck up to the top, the less there is at the bottom. And the less they contribute, because the money that they get, they don't spend. That money is going to hell. When those of us down at the bottom, when we get money, we fucking spend it. We are the economy. We spend our fucking money because we have to. So that makes the economy work. If the wealthiest suck all the fucking money up to the top and they don't spend it, it doesn't go back into the economy. And then nothing works. Everything falls apart. Well, that's the thing, is that the wealthier they are, the more power they have, the more resources they have to use to dismantle the system. That's the problem. And what's happened over the past 70 years was initially things started really good, and then it's sort of been a steady chipping away at the things that made things really good. You know, basically immediately after the New Deal, things were very good. There was like a 90% tax on the rich or something like that. And there was a really widespread prosperity across the public in the United States at that time. And then, you know, the wealthy aren't going to stand for that. So they chip away. And then over time, regulations start to fall away. Loopholes get built into the system. And then, you know, president after president after president of tax breaks for the rich, tax breaks for the rich, tax breaks for the rich, just over and over again. And now you've got people like, you know, Jeff Bezos and Elon and so on who just don't pay taxes, basically. And they want to continue that. They continue to blame us for the spending. Like Social Security and Medicare. These are fucking nothing. They're nothing. Now, the defense budget, that's something. It's weird that people just don't, I don't know, they don't understand the stuff. Like if they get rid of income tax, for example, everybody's gonna, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are gonna fucking think that that's great until they find out that means that the tax system is now tariffs and sales tax. And guess who pays for the tariffs and the sales tax? You and me. All of us. The poors, yes. We pay. Because a loaf of bread is $3 for me, and a loaf of bread is $3 for Jeff Bezos. You know? So it's a completely upside down tax system at that point where the poorest people pay the largest proportion of tax. I don't actually, I don't know how much bread is right now. Would that be bad or would that be good? I also don't. I look at the overall we're spending on groceries mainly. That's what I focus on, and not so much the individual, because Nakomi usually arranges the grocery list. Oh, I mean, obviously, I mean, Jeff Bezos himself said that there is no use for the amount of wealth that he has. And he started Blue Sky to have something to use up his money. He said he was liquidating something like $1 billion a year to fund not Blue Sky. What's his shit called Blue Sky as well? Not Blue Sky, the social media, the fucking rocket, his rocket company. Blue Origin, thank you. Sorry, there's so many fucking things called Blue something. Blue Origin, yeah. He was liquidating $1 billion a year in stock to fund Blue Origin. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to. Just a classic flub. Didn't mean to be confusing. But yeah, I mean, he said he can't spend his money. There's nothing he. And that's obvious, though. That's fucking obvious. What's that fucking example of, like, if you didn't have to pay for anything, you didn't have any taxes, whatever. If you were making $100,000 a year and you saved 100% of it, you would have $1 million in 10 years. But if you wanted to save up to $1 billion, it would take you 10,000 years. You know? People do not understand the scope and scale of this shit. And they don't understand that it is not divorced from the rest of us. They are taking from us all. They just are. And they're not contributing back. So they are just sucking the life out of us. It would be, honestly, here's the fucking thing. Here's the funny thing. If they just did contribute back, things would be kind of fine. That would be kind of fine. I think we should still have all the things that I want, like universal health care and blah, 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 blah. But if they contributed their fair share, so if we had like a progressive tax system, the country would be prosperous and the people would be vastly better off than they are. But instead, we are on a steady downward slide because they're not going to do that. They don't get to be billionaires by being the kind of people who contribute back. And philanthropy doesn't count because that is just fucking laundering. That is reputation laundering. That is insurance against the mob. Because it will fool enough people. Yeah. Exactly. That's all it fucking is. Well, I'm saying even if you didn't change anything else, and I'm not saying by that, Gek, that like everything is cool and good. I get what you're saying. But even in that case, even if you changed nothing else, if they just contributed their fair share back, it would have an insane impact. That's all I'm driving at. Oh, it's 350 for white bread? I was in the right territory. And then with regards to that shit, Gek, I mean, we don't agree on the terms, not you and I, but like us versus the people who are like, get rid of all the fraud. And then they talk about, I saw something today about like, oh, who was it? It was what Mike Johnson said. Medicare isn't for 29-year-old men sitting on the couch playing video games. Okay. Is that the majority of people on Medicare? But that's what they think it all is. They're not looking for actual fraud. If they wanted to look for actual fraud and do something about actual fraud in these systems, who is it? Was it Rick Scott? Was that? Let me just take a look here. Rick Scott, Medicare fraud. You know, the people that they always let off the hook when they actually do provable fucking fraud. Rick Scott was the CEO of Columbia/HCA. Let's see, back in, I guess around 2004-ish. And the hospital was fined $1.7 billion for Medicare fraud. Yeah. Columbia billed Medicare, Medicaid, and other federal programs for tests that were not necessary or had not been ordered by physicians. The company attached false diagnosis codes to patient records to increase reimbursements to the hospitals. The company illegally claimed non-reimbursable. It's always this shit. It's not people. It's not your fellow citizens out there stealing. I mean, it is, but not the ones that you're being told. It's not random dudes sitting on a couch playing video games.
Hey,
Hi.
calm down.
Wow.
It's supposed to be your mental break.
It is. I'm having a mental break, and I'm getting it out.
Oh.
Ugh. Anyway, they're not using the same definitions as you would, right?
I'm gonna feed the doges.
Okay, thank you, baby.
Try to keep the bun calm.
Yeah, that she escaped already. That's the shit I'm tired of seeing over and over and over again. Is stuff like this that is fucking the actual stuff that's going on, and then seeing the stuff that they say is going on and seeing people talk about it like it's actually the thing that's going on. Because it's not. It isn't. It simply isn't. Load of the flies. It has layers. Suffice to say, I think something that we all need to understand is that when these people, and I'm not even just talking about politicians, I'm talking about like their sycophants. When they say they're looking to get rid of the fraud in like Medicare, for instance, they mean Medicare, the whole thing. They think the entire thing is fraud. They're not looking for fraud in, actually done. Like all that shit is just sort of scapegoats and mirages. They want to get rid of the entire thing because from their perspective, their belief is if they make money and then give it to the government, and then the government gives that money to someone else in the same country as them, set aside all the fucking USAID shit and all whatever else, even if it's going to someone else, a fellow citizen, that to them is fraud. They consider that to be fraud. The usage of money that they paid to the government to help someone else. Because they have in their head this picture of people out there just doing nothing, and they view it as like, I'm doing my job. I get a paycheck and then I pay it to somebody who's doing nothing. Which again is like not a thing. There may exist people out there who are defrauding the system or whatever, but it is such a small number as to just about non-exist. But that small number does include Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. What's the government giving Elon Musk? Something, it's like $38 billion or something. Hey, Doge, found one. Whatever. Just list the richest fucking, just the 0.1%. Those are the people who are doing nothing, and you're paying them to do it. Yeah, yeah. That's, again, people do not understand numbers, and they could, but it takes the time to sit there and kind of think about it, rather than just being told. If you go look up any of this stuff at all, you can know these things, but also you could just turn on a radio or a TV or a YouTube channel and then be told what the thing is that you're supposed to be mad about.
So I got Shoe's pill. And you're sitting,
Yeah,
all pretty and stuff. And then I threw it.
and he knocked it directly into Bun's mouth.
No, he was just like zoning out and went right over his head. And then like it landed and he sat there for a second and then he was like, wait, where is it? And I'm like, are you okay?
Is he okay?
Yeah, he seems fine, but like he just got distracted, I guess.
He really relies on the cue of knowing that it's in your hand, and if he doesn't make that connection, none of it functions for him.
Yeah,
It's dog brain stuff. Have fun, Blockington.
I'm off. Let me know when you want me to take the dog.
Okie dokie. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know how we get past this, because I think this is just the age we're in. We're in the age of too much information. We were in the information age, but it's the too much information age. And It definitely feels like we're getting accelerationism whether we like it or not, and I don't like it because the problem with it is should be quite obvious, but a lot of people are going to get hurt in the process. Already are. And what worries me is how far it's going to have to go before enough people are like, now wait just a darn minute. Um, and with a lot of them, it kind of seems like they have to be halfway in the wood chipper before they're going to go, now wait a dang second. Hold on one dang old darn minute now. You seem to be grinding my bones up. Uh-huh, yeah. Sure are. Steve Bannob. Dude, the plague of ground news sponsors. Fucking hell. I have to say, I tried it out and I was not impressed. Maybe it's fine for y'all. I don't know. I didn't care for it. Yeah. Well, that's part of what has been interesting, Gek, about reading about the era of the robber barons, because basically the exact same thing happened. The exact same thing. Please elaborate on what? What thing did I not elaborate on? Oh, ground news. Um, it felt disorganized to me. Um, and kind of just really busy. Like I went in there and I couldn't find topics that I wanted to read about. It was very hard. Like if I searched for them, I would get nothing sometimes. I don't know, it just annoyed me. I also kind of don't trust the underlying system because they say they use AI to do their determinations and stuff like that. So I don't like that. So just a handful of things. I'm not saying it's like the worst thing in the world. It's just I tried it. It wasn't for me. That's all. And I don't know that I buy into uh the idea that it's going to de-radicalize people's news experience. Like that's a lot of how it's presented. But I also noticed that it seems to really mostly show up. Well, I guess I don't really watch right wing content. I don't know if it's advertised there a whole lot. Maybe it is. But I don't think that right wing people would like go on ground news in the first place because they're not looking to. They won't believe anything. So even if it's like doing an amazing job of determining the leanings, the bias leanings or whatever, if they see something and it generally is like leaning against them, they're just going to be like the way they always are, They're just going to go to Newsmax or OAN or whatever. I am a full on AI Luddite. And I'm good with that. They got that overturned, pubs, although I don't know anything else beyond that. I just know that it got overturned by some other judge. I don't think they even really have to make anything. You know, this is the thing that has really made me feel kind of crazy recently is that we've seen a lot of like ideological uh, judgments. Not that like judges were impervious to ideology before, but it's very explicit now. It's exacerbated now, I guess, is what it is. So somebody like Alex Jones can just shop around for a sympathetic judge, essentially, right? Um, which is also why I have been just sort of like, I don't know, the Dems and the Libs being all like, that's illegal. They can't do that. Like, okay, but we already know that the Supreme Court agrees with what they're doing. So where, who, who, who's gonna do anything about it, right? It really does feel like people missed the fact that we exited this. There was like this era of like, oh, maybe the Supreme Court might go one way or the other, and they had like they had sort of like shame basically, essentially that they had to sort of fall in line with historical precedent and stuff like that. Again, not that they never made horrific decisions, but it kind of seemed like there was an external force of pressure on them, right? But I would say the past 3 years or so, it has been made pretty clear that they are not feeling that anymore. And I think that the chains are off. I don't know. I can't make predictions on any of that shit, Gek. And unfortunately, every time that like we are very nestled in the era of like if you make any predictions about a thing, you sound like you're hyperbolic and exaggerating and you're hysterical. But then like the following week, the thing that you said happens. So you I don't know. It's a really bad time. It's a bad time. It's a bad time. RBG was part of it, but like it's not just that. It isn't just that. It's external factors as well. Um, like there's a zeitgeist. So like RBG was one factor, definitely mattered, but the overall zeitgeist has shifted. You know, like just you don't have to throw your mind back very far, right? Think back to 2020 or 2021 ish, I guess, of like the uh the whole election fraud debacle, you know, and Trump doing like what was it like 62 lawsuits and all of them got shut down and they didn't find anything and da 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 and people pushed back on it and blah blah. Now fast forward to today. How do you think that would go today? Do you think it would go the same? I don't think so. I think they spent the meantime getting many sycophants in place, as evidenced by various fucking things going on that are not being stopped and nobody's pushing back now and yada yada. You know, like that's what I mean by there's been a shift of as far as like the overall zeitgeist is concerned, and I think that ultimately is how you get to like a post-law world. It's not like a day comes when you know it like the switch has been flipped. It's this gradient. very gradual thing that occurs. But after a certain amount of time, you kind of know, oh, we're on the other side of that fence now, aren't we? You know, I think we have enough evidence to say things have changed. Yeah, Citizens United was part of the chipping away, right? That was part of the chipping away. Yeah, Dav, the Rubicon, or is there a newer one than that? I, by the way, was already thinking all of this before that video came out. I've been yelling about the fucking Supreme Court for, uh, well, as anybody in current events can tell you, months, if not maybe years. Yeah, it kind of fails out from under you, like Wile E. Coyote. The video probably had an influence on me, Dav. Yeah. I mean, it is given how like it's like simultaneously it makes me happy to hear stuff that agrees with what I was already thinking. Obviously, that's normal, but like also frustrating. Like for instance, right now, finally, or over the past like week or two or three, people have finally been talking about like Yarvin and Teal and Vance and neo reactionaries and neo Marxism and stuff like that. But it's, you know, like, hooray, people have noticed this shit, but also, why so fucking late? Why? People have been talking about this for a fucking while. And now, after they're basically one step away, you're like, oh my gosh, everyone should know about this thing that's happening. It's like, where were y'all? Where were you all? Come on. Oh yeah, Project 2025 was also very annoying, right? Because it like came up and then for some reason everyone believed Trump. And he said, well, I don't know what that is. And then day one, they just are like following it like it's a like just the list of bullet points in order. Not to mention put the guy that fucking wrote it. Ah, God. I hate. I'm gonna explode. And the whole way along, between when that came out and when it started being implemented, if you said anything about it, people were like, "You're exaggerating. This is hyperbole. That's not happening." Blah, blah, blah. You just there's no reward for paying attention to this stuff as well. You're just treated like shit until everyone finally realizes, oh, actually. Yeah, I mean, the media, the mainstream media is unfortunately extremely garbage. Anyway, I think I have sufficiently checked in. I'm actually going to go and work on more shit. Oh boy. That's what I'm going to do. Woohoo. Also, I have with regards to the title, I do not know what the fuck anybody's talking about when they say this like Audi innie shit. I assume it's something from like a show. that that shit came out of nowhere, and I keep seeing it. It's from Severance. Yeah, I've been meaning to get on that because I keep seeing people talking about Severance. So I'm gonna have to watch it. I mean, my secret, Pubs, is that I am always depressed. Ooh. So, yeah. I'm gonna go. Thanks for hanging out. I'm sorry again. And I mean, tomorrow's Friday. So either I succeed or I fail. But either way, tomorrow I should be on time. So until then, have a good night. I'll see you next stream.